Hello, everybody. It is Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, and we are with you live, as we always are, on the Shadow Nose Network. We are missing one of the crew. Mr. Chet Maddox is busy boarding a private jet to come visit for a big event in Southern California this weekend, this Sunday, where we're happy to be with all of you. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world of pop culture. And to begin, our main topic, which is Star Wars Acolyte, the new Star Wars series. Critics like it, fans not so much. What did we think about the first two episodes? Does Star Wars have a hit on their hands or another dud? Also, Alien Romulus, a lot of people are thinking, could this be the franchise saver, or are we in store for another Alien dud as well? And then Venom 3, speaking of duds, well, pretty self-explanatory. What are our takes? Venom 3, will it be better than Madam Web? We'll talk about that. G.I. Joe, Transformers, Chris Hemsworth attached to this project. Everyone's been waiting for this collaboration. Also, with plastic, we've got Ghostbusters 3-inch figure drop Saturday. Toybox Chronicles covered a lot of toy news this past Wednesday. And last but not least, on our Ink segment, is Skybound saving comics? This and much, much more. This is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. Alrighty, we're back with you, Dr. Brantley, Mr. Alexander Storm, and of course myself here. Another Friday night is upon us, and how's everyone's weekend going thus far? I mean, this is a pre-recorded episode.
Yeah,
so for those of you who are chatting, well, we're not going to be responding to you, but drop a comment because we're happy to respond thereafter. We are gearing up and getting ready for the RoboToyFest that's happening in Southern California this Sunday. So that is why we are not live. We are gathering the troops and getting ready to assemble some new content for the Shadow Nose Network. But how's everyone's evening and week going?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm in an undisclosed location, not at home, and we will see. Usually I have fancy backdrops and everything. Nope, it's a study.
Well, there's a damn globe, so I think we can actually see where you're at. You go back to do Indiana Jones montage, just spit it right there.
It's like, it feels very Indiana, but like he's kind of with a modern
Absolutely. Yeah, no, everything's going good, man. Like I said, again, like I said, I'm the designated person picking up the Chet Maddox experience tomorrow from his private jet at LAX. So that's going to be an ordeal. We'll see how that's going to work.
He's got a private jet, but he can't get a limo. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the man knows how to save a buck every now and then. Let's be honest.
He's got to if he's flying private.
At the end of the day, even Iron Man needs to be picked up occasionally. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, let's jump right into things. And the big news of the week is Star Wars has released another TV series on Disney Plus, the anticipated The Acolyte. and the first 2 episodes dropped. And I think at the time of our recording, there's been a lot of press, mostly negative. But if you look at the reviews, the critics are in favor of this show with, I think, Rotten Tomatoes above 90%. But social media, some of the die-hard Star Wars fans and Rotten Tomato fans scores are very low. Lots of controversy surrounding this. I think prior to this, there was a lot of discussion on the hired director and the talent and the cast. So, 2 episodes in, gentlemen, what say you? Are you in favor of this 2 episodes, or are you dreading watching the future?
Well, let me just say, like, there's not many things that pull me out of a show. But when you are in outer space with a fire extinguisher putting out a fire, something's wrong. Okay? That was not good at all. That's just like so dumb that it's, you know, like there's plenty of other things you could do. Just, it's a small little thing, right? But we're introduced to our hero and she's putting out a fire outside of a spaceship in outer space, the vacuum of outer space. Fire is raging. She's got a fire extinguisher. That'll help. So that's just the level that things are at. So it didn't get better from there. I was okay with like the opening scene. I was like, okay, I don't know what people are talking about. This isn't so bad. And then, so
yeah,
it's not great.
I would say I had a problem with the opening scene only on the aspect is that it's just a waste to Carrie-Anne Moss. You know, if you're hiring an actor of that caliber, you could have just gotten an extra or somebody to, if you're just going to kill them off in 5 seconds. But also the feel of the show.
Spoiler.
Yeah. If you don't know by now, you know. You didn't see her in any other promos.
I could tell from the trailer.
We knew
that was the one scene she was in because she's not in any other shots.
Yeah, they heavily promoted that scene. But the one thing that I'll say about the show is the reason why I think, well, fans obviously are going to have their problems. It's the whole, you know, Kathleen Kennedy and whatever she does, it kind of has this way of falling around. And it's not very good for Disney as itself. It's more about the people behind the scenes than it is the content on the screen. And I think Disney really needs to start rectifying that problem because it's becoming the talking point of everything they're doing whenever she's associated with a show. I noticed that when Favreau or Robert Rodriguez or Dave Filoni, it's a different feel. This show did not feel like a Star Wars show. It felt like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like martial arts show. It didn't have any of the feeling of, even the lightsaber scenes were like just not with the same emphasis. And you know, this is by the writer creator of the Russian Doll series. And one aspect in the business, and Dr. Brentley pointed this out because we are screenwriters, so certain things come up to us, and it's the fact it's certain things in the script that don't make sense as you're a professional looking at the show. There's certain aspects that's wrong. And I think that one of the main issues is some of these actors were brought over from the Russian Doll series, and they're just not particularly that great. They're, you know, like everyone's of a certain age and category. And it's like they did not hire the best actors in order to represent some of these characters. And they have the gentleman from Squid Games. And as I'm watching this, and I know, like, you know, if Disney's talking about they're so big into diversity in this situation, then why didn't they hire an Asian American actor? Because there's plenty of them saying when we talk about diversity issues and they're not getting jobs, there's plenty. There's Henry Golden. There's a lot of great actors out there that are put in this role. So they get someone else in the role. I'm like, okay, I was like, well, where have we seen this guy before? And then it was like, oh yeah, he was from Squid Games. And I'm like, okay. I just think like none of the characters, the scenes when there's a scene where there's some younglings and he's like giving the whole, like, you know, power of the force kind of scenario, and they're thinking, it just didn't have the same feel that Star Wars, like, like if you look at, I think we can go and say like Attack of the Clones when Master Yoda is teaching the younglings, it has that kind of like emphasis to feel like this is very important. This show is like their dialogue and everything's written like it's just not it's not important, and so it just doesn't feel like there's like high stakes. Even the battle scenes don't really feel like they're high stakes.
I'll tell you one thing, that one change, right, that would have cost more money, but probably would have fixed all of these problems you're having, is instead of that character, what if it was Yoda that had the Padawan that goes bad, because he's alive in this area. He's the Jedi Master. He's teaching younglings. One of his went bad. He has to go out. And so it's a story that, a more personal story of Yoda than we've ever seen before. But,
I just think nobody knows these characters. There's no connection. Nobody feels anything about them.
There's an ego associated with this, which is like, we don't want to use any of the characters or stories that George created, that we're genius enough to create our own series of characters. And it doesn't work out too well. The reason why The Mandalorian worked out really well is because that was part of George Lucas's in his head. He's a genius. Let's hold right. A lot of criticism for Mr. Lucas. We know some of the films, but this is his franchise. I don't care if he sold it to Disney or not. So we have to appreciate that. And so when you're building something, it's okay to evolve, but to forget and just use the aesthetics and the music, it's garbage. I really think they had written this. Maybe they shot some preliminary footage and they were like, shit, you know what? We need like a action sequence. Like, how do we design an action sequence? And then maybe we're smoking some weed and they were watching The Matrix and they were like, why don't we do this? Why don't we get The Matrix? Yeah. Hey, let's just get the chick from The Matrix too, and we'll design like a Matrix type fight in the first episode, because that's what we
That's what it felt like. Absolutely.
That was not Star Wars. I mean, and to replicate a semi Matrix type scene with Brienne Moss, it's just like, come on.
Although,
and here's the biggest criticism of them all. This is a master Jedi. The oldest trick in the book. I'll throw a knife here and distract her and then stab her.
Exactly.
That's a Jedi. If that's a Jedi master, the series is in trouble. No, like if that's how easily you can kill a Jedi master. Look over there. Where? Stab. That's basically what happens.
Okay, but as you said, this was like the Matrix, but it was way better than the actual Matrix that we got last year.
Yeah, true. But it did seem like, like there's a point where it's like a Shaolin move where she floats up the stairs. I'm like, a Jedi would have just jumped and would have just quick motion and been up there. So everything's like off on the way they're doing it. I understand. Hey, I want to, do something else. But again, what we've always said, you have the source material that's sitting around and he's there. And let's be honest, George Lucas in every possible way has some ounce of regret selling this franchise. You can look at him and tell, because he's explaining about the Force in the interview. And you can tell
he's doing it's like money versus my happiness.
I think it's actually making him look way better than initially, because I think people had blamed him for like the course it was that it was taking. Now they're like, please come back.
But why not use the resource though? You've got the encyclopedia of the Force that's sitting around.
Well,
and you're so bold.
Isn't this changed though? Isn't this Filoni was not in charge of this? He's now at the helm.
No, he's not.
Right?
I don't know. I don't know if he's at the helm or anything. We really
they haven't announced anything really.
They say that, but we don't really know, man.
Well, we'll have to see. So I'm not going to hold that against him because he's
not involved in this. No.
But here's the other thing too. So the fire extinguisher. Let's stack up the shit that doesn't make sense. Let's lock up someone on a spaceship who has the ability to hack into robots. I mean, you could have thought about a different escape plan than a guy just going, and then it's like he's commandeered the ship. Like, what in the hell? Like, that's the laziest writing I've ever seen. Like,
Andor
you couldn't
had one episode where he gets caught, one episode where he goes to prison, and one episode where he escapes. They build the characters around it. They build all the infrastructure, all these things. This was, oh my God, I'm in prison. You're going to escape? Okay, well, we're out. There was like no build-up, nothing.
No.
Well, ask yourself the one thing with Andor, and let's be quite honest with you. Andor is seeming like it is the best Star Wars series, even above The Mandalorian. And because you had a seasoned writer-director that did this.
Season 1 of Mandalorian is pretty
good.
good.
It's good, but I still think that Andor is a overall better series. I think I give The Mandalorian season 1 number 2 slot, because Andor, it's a political thriller, it's an action, it's an escape film, it's a heist. It's got all these different makeups to it, and Tony Gilroy just brings it all to fruition.
But the thing is, they didn't pretend when I talk about ego, they came into that like it wasn't intentionally trying to create these. I think it intentionally was like, this is just going to be its own separate theme, and not like the backstory of the Empire rule, and it wasn't trying to pretend to create all these different Siths and Jedis and all these different things like this feels. And I know we're 2 episodes in. I'm not going to give up, but so far it has been disappointing. And I heard that the guy from I don't know what the actor's name is, the guy from Squid Game learned English for the role. He was not bad. It just misused in the first 2.
Well, but again, I'm like, you're claiming
I could see if he was written well.
You're claiming diversity though, and there's so much time in Hollywood. You're saying that's our number one thing. That's what we want to do, and you have hundreds of American Asian actors that are basically not getting roles, and you pass that over for a gentleman where you try to get his popularity, and no one really remembered that he was in Squid Game. That's the problem.
Well,
it's years.
Yeah, someone that has to learn English as opposed to somebody that knows English and can go without any of that stuff to the emotional part of the acting that you need. Now he's got to actually think of translating and then go into stuff, because he's not a bad actor.
No, he's not.
But he didn't. There was nothing really that invested me into the role. It could have been with a different actor. You could have done something a little bit better.
There's I think what this was that Kathleen Kennedy was enamored by Russian Doll and brought that person in, but Russian Doll is not the essence or the style or the directorial situation for Star Wars. And if you're going to do something in the High Republic and you're going to show something with action and feel, you're probably, again, you look at Andor, you look at Robert Rodriguez, The Book of Fett, you look at Dave Filoni, who basically learned directing on the fly. And those have very different feels. They feel like action-oriented situations. This is a lot of Star Wars characters talking. And, talking, and everybody said they have problems with the prequels because there was so much of this. Well, this even magnified because the music's not as good. The overall scenes are not well. The sets and everything look extreme. It reminded me almost a little bit of Rebel Moon, a little bit on the sets and the looks and the feel.
No, it felt like it was cheap. It felt like this should be a low budget version of a Star Wars show, but then I'm hearing that it's more expensive than even House of Dragon. Where it's like they spent $200 million on.
Look, if this was a fan filmed Star Wars, it'd be great. I'd be committed.
You'd be like, oh wow, on YouTube.
But here's the other issue: is I just talked about them being in a room smoking weed and going, "Hey, we should replicate the Matrix."
Exactly.
But there are other things where it's it was blatant, stolen. So her little robot, the tools is named Pip.
Mm-hmm.
In Fallout,
Yep.
what is the armband called? A Pip Boy.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about here? This is not any. Literally, go Google Pip Boy, Pip Boy, and then Pip the Acolyte. You don't think there's any similarities there?
Well,
like it's like this is Star Wars and you're copying.
Exactly.
You
Well,
should be
again,
innovators.
Some of the casting too, like the young male Jedi, is terrible. And
Okay,
there's
but
nothing
he's got
emotional.
a huge following though, because
No.
now I've seen this. It's
It
now called
doesn't
the
matter.
Yord Horde, and
as soon as I saw the dude with the shirt off,
I know, I was
and
like,
said,
wow,
come on,
like
bro.
he just knocked off
Is this
credibility.
Twilight? Is Star Wars turned into Twilight at this point?
Look, the best thing about this entire show has been that dude's hair with the little bits.
And
other than that,
and the one aspect that Dr. Britton and I laugh about, because we were joking about this, we were laughing so hard. So when they say they're twins, and I immediately told Julian, I said, well, if they're twins, how come they didn't have one actress play the young roles? Because they're both different actresses, and they're supposed to be twins. I understand there's not identical twins, but then in the future, it's like, well, they look alike, but how come they didn't look alike? And I said, this doesn't make any sense. And there's just certain moments where I think it was a director that was really, they brought in the people that she liked. It wasn't probably some of the better actors they could have got. It was the people that she took from one series over to this. And I don't think it was well written out. So I think there's a lot of plot holes and details that could be worked on a little bit better. I don't think it's an overall terrible series. I just think it's so flawed that you lose your attention with it. And there's something happens in 2. I'm not gonna spoil that, but at the end of 2, and it was like in absolutely no way or form or any other situation should that had happened. I was like, this is what they do with this one character that shows at the end. It's kind of like, it's just really kind of like just kind of passed over with.
I think that the other thing too is like there is such anticipation for a Star Wars series, and there hasn't been too many that have just been horrible like the MCU.
Yes.
It's slowly starting to become where the expectations are so bad. And
well, because they started out with The Mandalorian. It was a huge, everyone was building up for it and like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And it was. Oh my God, imagine that. There's a build up for something and it was actually good. And then it's just been slowly falling down in quality. And I don't know if that's just, creatively or studio stuff or what, but something is going on because, as soon as like, oh yeah, Favreau, make your little Star Wars show. And then once it's a hit, then it's like, oh, well, now I have to put my fingers in it.
Exactly. And I think it is a point of that as well. I think that you're absolutely right. I think it's like there's a pettiness to some of the Star Wars kind of competition. And, look, it's like what you should be thinking about is what's the best thing we could do for the fans. Concentrate on that because let's be honest, the last 3 trilogy wasn't to fans' expectations. This series is not. There's been a couple other series been stopped and done and everything else like that. At one point or another, you have to start thinking about like, well, who's running the studio? Because one regime is not doing a very smart and calculated job. It seems like they're kind of dividing fandom. And then there's one team that is trying to unite and build fandom. Disney has to stop playing the middleman here and just make a decision that's going to be extremely tough. But you're going to have to put a clear person ahead that's actually understands the Star Wars ideology and start making good movies. The same way in the MCU, Kevin Feige's having a little bit of problems because Kevin Feige has gotten away from what he's doing. He's doing these side, secondary, and third-tier characters. And you need somebody to come in and just say, no, this is the path we need to do because this is too important. There's literally billions of dollars being left on the table because this is not being done right.
Yeah, it goes back to the arrogance. Like don't reinvent the wheel. Just modify it a bit. and I think they're just trying to do too much when something has worked forever. And this whole well, you know, do it for the fans, but you know, some of the older fans, the male fans, I read all these things. It's like that's the core audience, man. Like, if you appease that audience,
it's not the core audience. That's your audience.
It is the
what I'm saying though is like, if you do that well, then everyone else will also love it.
Yes.
It does like appeal to the market that made Star Wars. Like, you know, it's so odd to me, this level of like, you know, we're gonna do our own thing. We're gonna do all the characters. I don't look. You want to go diverse? It's not about diversity. It's for the sake of sacrificing the show's like content and writing and story and characters for the sake of it. You can do those things simultaneously, but you don't need to do that and then risk and jeopardize the franchise. And I think, you know, I don't care about who was cast and who that. It's more about the story has not been great. The acting has not been great. Mistakes left and right, and lazy writing. And that's why I'm upset the first 2 episodes. Has nothing to do with who's what and what race. I don't give a shit about that. It's just not a good. It's not a good first 2 episodes.
All you have to do is tell a good story. Star Trek, right? From the 60s, it had a diverse cast, but it wasn't like, we're diverse. No, it's just like, no, we have all these different people, and we're going to tell stories. And that's the whole point of diversity, I think. Now, speaking as a white male, obviously I know all about this, but, you know, you should be able to just have different people and tell a story, and it doesn't really matter about all these, you know, surface level things.
Well, as the only resident person of color on the panel, I will tell you this. You hit it. You nailed it right on the head. Just make us care about the characters. You know, when you looked at the Enterprise crew, you didn't care that, you know, Scotty was Irish or Scottish, or, you know, you didn't Sulu or whatever. You saw characters. And Star Wars, let's be honest, like when I sat in Star Wars, when I saw Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, it's like, wow. I didn't just think like, wow, this is the first black character I think I've seen Star Wars. It's like, wow, this is Billy D. Williams. They actually got one of the biggest black icon actors at the time to do the role. And he did it magnificently. No one has said, well, I wish Lando wasn't in that. Do you see that was just a diversity hire? People saw they got the best actor to do the best role. That's what they need to get back to. It's just hire good actors, make us feel about the characters, whether they're male, female, whatever gender. Just get back to writing us good characters and not make it about the characters and their differences. Just make it about the characters working together.
With Billy D, you know, Lando is a very conflicted character, because you start out, he's Han Solo's old friend, but he betrays him.
He does.
But then comes back around and tries to get him back, and you know, but I don't know that would happen today with a black actor, because it's like, oh well, we can't show him being you know, betraying his friend, even if he comes around at the end, you know, because he, you know, circumstances or whatever. But I don't know, that they've gotten away from something that when it was more less progressive times, we actually had more equality and diversity, because it didn't matter, you know, we weren't trying to put stuff out. It's just, hey, this is a character, this is a person, they're doing this thing.
When you consciously think of something, you usually do the wrong thing. When it's something that you're putting so much emphasis on, it usually comes out wrong. Just like I said, just write good characters, hire the best actors to do the roles, and just let it be like that. Let that be your staple, and you'll get great characters. And I just think that they're just so worried about, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, that it's just making everything jumbled. And like I said again, but Chris nailed it on the head. It's just not good writing. That's the main purpose, the reason why the critics. Now, there's some people that have hate in their souls and they do whatever they want to do. That's fine.
About that.
this
good
is
writing.
just not good writing.
Yeah.
You know,
And I could give a shit about the characters right now.
Mhm.
And maybe that changes, but it's not off to a good start.
No.
Not off to a good start. So,
And I hear also that episode 3 is the worst of it all.
Oh God.
So I can't wait.
Well, you don't
Because-
do that, man. Don't do that because
No.
now at this point you've already ruined it now. So now I'm gonna anticipate how bad it's gonna be.
Chris Gore, who had access to the first 4 episodes, said that the first 2 are fine, whatever. Episode 3 is like the most divisive thing in Star Wars to date. So I am very interested to see what happens. He says it like changes what the Force is about. So
if that's the case,
it's one of those kind of things, like
I'm
worse
gonna
than
throw
midi-chlorians.
I'm throwing my Star Wars pinball machine out the fucking window.
Well, don't do that because I'll come and pick it up. Look, I can still there's the original 3. That's all we had for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
That's all we have now.
Well, I would think I would throw maybe 4 because Rogue One is superiorly better than everything else they produced.
Yeah.
And that has a very good Star Wars feel to it as well. So
yeah,
Rogue
there's
One,
some
there's great
Mando
classics.
1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other. I mean, like you think back, like how critical I was of some of these other shows.
Exactly.
Ahsoka and Boba Fett and all that stuff. You're like, wow, they were so much better than this garbage thus far.
Makes you appreciate it. We turn back, we look at those original prequels, like, were they that bad? Were they that bad?
I remember Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was like, geez, what is this? Now I'm like, what a gem that was when that first came out. What a gem. Speaking of other franchises, they're at the risk of either catapulting back to its popularity or declining. There's a lot of speculation in this new Alien film, Alien Romulus, that is coming out. So trailer released. It's getting some fairly decent buzz, but there hasn't been a lot that has been completely shared outside of the trailer. So I know we talked about this a couple of months ago, but now it's getting closer to release. Based on trailer, what you're hearing, seeing, like, what do you think? Is the outcome going to be good here? I mean, Mr. Scott himself has basically endorsed this, but I don't know if that means much.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
It looks better than the last 2 Alien movies that he did.
It did.
Okay, it looks like you're getting back to what Alien is supposed to be about, which is, we're in space and there's a creature on board that can kill us all. So, it looked good. So I'm interested to see it. It was originally going to be a Hulu
that's
movie. So that means that it was so good that they decided, well, wait a second, I think we can release this in theatrical. So, and it's the director, I think, is Fede Alvarez, who did like Don't Breathe and a couple of these horror movies, like the low budget stuff. So he's got that kind of horror sense, which Alien has been lacking since James Cameron, really.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Well, I thought it was the director of 3. There were some moments that was really good. He had great actors in that movie too. So it had its moments, but there was a lack. Yeah, there's a lack. Towards the end of that story, there's a problem, but there was pretty good moments in that film. I will tell you this: 2 trailers released that day. One was Alien Romulus. The other one was Venom 3. At first I said the Alien one, and then I saw Venom 3. I was like, wow, that's a masterpiece. That is a masterpiece.
Well, both of the trailers are horror films in different ways.
Yeah.
One could go back to its horror roots, and the other one is horror show.
Horrible.
Yeah, wow. But no, it looked like atmosphere's there. Look, this guy knows how to direct films. He knows how to do atmosphere. He knows how to. I love the strobe light kind of scenario, and then there's the beating and the situations. So it all looks there, and you're like, okay, look, if they brought it again, we were all expecting this to be like Prey. It was going to be on Hulu for them to jump to screen. Now, mind you, if you can't have a movie that grosses a good box office this year, you just don't know how to direct movies, because this is the weakest box office year I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. There are consistent holes this year. Like, this is the first time we've gotten into summer. I'm like, wow, there is absolutely almost nothing to watch. So
what didn't Christopher Nolan, didn't he say like he's so surprised that no one's beat Oppenheimer yet in terms of box office?
It won't.
He's like, that was released last year and still nothing, and it's like June.
It's probably Deadpool,
is there
Wolverine.
Something? I think Wolverine Deadpool is probably the only one that has a.
That's it.
Yeah,
because
it's got a shot.
And I'll tell you something.
And
Netflix,
maybe Despicable Me 3 or 4.
Oh yeah. That one's probably gonna.
Is that a simultaneous not Paramount, but is that
No, it's just straight to movies.
It's straight to movies.
They're not gonna mess with that, because that is a money maker. You're gonna make a couple hundred.
That's
million.
Universal, but that's NBC Universal.
It's not going to Peacock anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like, the biggest mistake this year comes down on Paramount. Paramount was worried. They sent Beverly Hills Cop 4 to over to Netflix, and they're looking at a mistake, because with the holes in this actual box office year, that would have went to the theater and did well.
It would have been 1984 all over again.
They gambled.
The summer
and they gambled
of
wrong.
Axel Foley.
They gambled wrong, but
because
was
nothing.
I know it would have beat Bad Boys.
Oh yeah, way easily. Let me tell you something.
Would you rather watch Bad Boys or Beverly Hills Cop? Yes, we're going to Beverly Hills Cop.
I would rather watch Venom 3 than Bad Boys.
Two things to know the
I don't know about that.
I would. I have no interest in Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, but Venom is bad. So, like, I didn't like Bad Boys.
You wouldn't want to sit in the theater and laugh about Venom. There's like nothing in Bad Boys. It's like it's watching like it's watching a money grab. It's just I guess Venom's
one guy that's trying to rehabilitate his career, and one guy that is trying not to die anytime soon. And
let me tell you something. You can always tell there's a sign when there's you really know you're desperate to really make a change. I saw Hot Ones, and I saw Will Smith on Hot Ones, and I was like, my God, this man is trying everything in the book, because he knows that he needs a hit. I don't think Bad Boys. I think this is 4. I don't think that's a hit. But I do know Paramount made a terrible mistake.
It is going to open to about $75 million, so it's going to be a big movie.
No, it's going to do it, but I don't think that I don't know if it's going to hit the success levels of the first couple of ones. I think
actually the third was the biggest.
Yeah, well,
which just came out a couple of years ago, but it is going to underperform that one.
Yeah,
and it's the same directors.
I think it will, because I think that people were just they're not really ready to forgive Will Smith. And let's be honest, his apology tour wasn't as good as it could have been. So he's got some work to do.
What apology tour?
Well, that's what
he didn't go out there and go what? I have to actually say I'm sorry, Chris Rock. I apologize.
No,
he has some work to do.
Absolutely no interest in that film.
None.
I will not watch it.
I didn't even see the last one. I don't care about Bad Boys anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. And Venom 3 just well, hey, one thing though that just got announced, that the 28 days later,
I saw that.
Danny Boyle's coming back and Cillian Murphy's back, so that should be really good. I'm surprised. Based on his star power later, now, right? for him to sign back onto that film. I mean, he must really respect Danny Boyle, because I know he ain't making the money that he probably will command now.
No. But Danny Boyle, Academy Award-winning director. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
I'm sure he did it because of the respect, and he knows it'll be a good script. But I'm just coming off your Oscar win, you're gonna do a zombie film.
I think that's the best way to go.
I think so.
It's like
I don't need that's true.
McConaughey, after he won, the first thing he did, was what was it? It was something that was.
Was it Interstellar?
Oh,
What was it?
I'm gonna have to look it up now
Right.
because.
Well, all I can tell you is, look, as long as we're getting a new zombie horror film that's not Walking Dead, that has an actual franchise that's associated with it, it's a good thing. Like I said, because I know people all say, "Oh, I'm tired of zombie films." No, you're tired of all zombie film being alike. But 28 Days had its own following, its own kind of like areas. Kind of like there's a series that was on Netflix that was The Kingdom, and it was completely a different genre of zombie films. It was fantastic. So as long as you're getting something else in that space, that's where I'm kind of happy with. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, you're bringing back really good actors too. So that's, you never go wrong in that kind of scenario, man. So
yeah, after he won the Academy Award, his next things were Wolf of Wall Street, True Detective, and Interstellar.
There you go.
What a
go Interstellar,
films.
Right? It's like, oh, well, this is a crazy sci-fi thing, but it's with this great director. So it, and that's what Danny Boyle can bring to 28 years later.
Yeah,
we haven't done any of the zombie stuff, right? It's like always with the zombies are here, but years after the zombie thing has happened, we've never seen anything like that. So that's a new story.
True.
And on the topic of films too, y'all read Brad Pitt's film, his F1 racing film that he's doing, $300 million budget.
Wow, bro. He must be really going to race the cars and blow up some stuff.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it'd be Days of Thunder times
no movie
100.
is gonna no movie should cost that much.
$300 million. Now I get you have like an international following with F1 racing, but $300 million. I think they said the last film that had a $200 million plus budget was the latest Aquaman film, and we know how that did. So I don't know, man. Films are getting I thought we were in the I thought we're in the age of let's scale things back, but
they should be. Well, we'll see.
It is just the way that they approach these projects, because you can do stuff in front of a green screen. It doesn't cost that much if you do it right. You don't need 300 people on set when you're doing that.
Yep.
If you're doing a huge epic on location with thousands of extras, that's going to cost money. But if you're not doing that, you can scale everything down nowadays. And I think there's just a lot of the old thinking in Hollywood that is causing these movies to cost so much. Also, it's the unions, but unions are necessary for workers. but no, that is a legitimate problem, because some of the union rules are crazy.
They are, but we love the unions.
I don't have a problem with the unions, because workers do need to be protected from the evil bastards that are spending $300 million on making one movie.
Well, I think they want to go back to the old grand days of Hollywood where, but 300 million, think about it. That's the money just for the film. How much are you going to have to spend for advertisement on that? You're not going to make your money on that.
Well, movie. if it's good though, spend the money. That's all we're asking.
If it's good, do you think it's going to be good?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't
know if I want to go to the theater and see F1 racing and
who knows, man.
I don't know that there's anything I can read that's going to say, you know what? I'm going to put $300 million on this.
But I'll tell you something. If that happens and that movie does well, you're going to see a whole bunch of F1 racing films after that. I can tell you that.
I will tell you one film that is probably going to get a $300 million, and we'll leave it at this for the Pixels topic, and that is the massive rumor this week that Sean Levy, the director of Deadpool Wolverine, is potentially going to be tapped to do the new Avengers 5 movie.
Yeah, that's going to make
They've removed Kang, and that they're
Wow.
thinking that they would bring back all of the old MCU, the Downeys, the Hemsworth. That in itself would be a $300 million film, because you'd have to go, okay,
Look, it's $100 million for the actors,
just for
and then you have to make the movie.
Yes,
but
so
that movie's grossing
tells me that
$2
they
billion.
believe. But that tells me they believe Deadpool Wolverine's so good
Oh, yeah.
that they're already telling him, please take over the next film, and let's bring back some of the lovable characters that is, you know, in the MCU.
Yeah,
so
that will be that summer event. That will be the biggest summer event that we've seen since Endgame. Like I said, it will have people running to the theater. That is a $2 billion around the world franchise at that moment.
Yep,
that's going to be that
100%.
one. If they put like betting in Vegas, and they said, you know, we're going to run Avengers 5, we're bringing everyone back, we got this director and everything, I would go and put my life savings on that right now.
And they can do something like Secret Wars and just say like, oh, hey, all those people that you knew, oh, that wasn't the real people.
Exactly.
And bring back Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson. You can bring back every character that died.
Every character.
If you wanted to. But
and who would have thought this all would have happened because Mr. Kang himself effed up in life.
Oh, we knew.
Changed the direction of the Marvel universe.
If anything, thank you, Jonathan Majors. I don't know about personally what happened to you, but thank you for behalf of all fans of the MCU.
he you know, Thanos snapped his finger, half the world went away, and I think he slapped and Mr. Kang himself slapped somebody, maybe allegedly, and he made the new MCU go away. So thank you, Mr. Jonathan Majors. Okay, well, it's time for our next topic, and that is plastic.
Now, I would just want to say I had to get the timing right on the thing, but Jonathan Majors should. You know what? I'm not gonna say it. Let's just keep going.
It's never good when you start out Jonathan Majors is something else.
Just you know what? I decided better of what I was going to say.
Let it go.
Plastic. What's going on?
Well, lots of stuff in the world of toys. Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to Pixels Plastic and Ink, the Shadow Knows Network. Click the button. It only helps the channel grow. And drop a like, drop a comment, drop a dislike. Engagement helps. We appreciate the time that you take, whether it be watching it Friday or whenever you have free time in the car, at work, on your computer, on your phone. We're happy and appreciative of your views. So thank you very much. And also, as we dive into the world of toys, we do have the Toybox Chronicles featuring Mr. Alexander Storm and Chet Maddox, who's not with us this evening. That is every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time on this channel, the Shadow Knows Network. So for a more in-depth look into the world of toys, that's something you're a fan of. We covered a bit here on this show, but a more dedicated show to that, it's available. So check it out here on the Shadow Knows Network. But lots of stuff that's happened. Marvel Legends, G.I. Joes. Now we have the Ghostbusters, June 8th. Mr. Storm, what's the update on Ghostbusters? And Hasbro, some wins and some misses in the Hasbro toy universe.
Hasbro having one heck of a week, boy. They started off the week with a fan stream. They got to the middle week and pissed off fans. They're gonna have Ghostbuster Day on Saturday, and it's just a lot of things. But they have some O-ring, 3 3/4 inch of the original 4 Ghostbusters. Now the funny thing, it was supposed to be the original 4 Ghostbusters and Ecto 1 were supposed to drop on the 8th, but sometime last month they just dropped Ecto 1 out of nowhere. So that's been up, and if you have any of the fan toy retailers, you can find it there. It's still able to be found on Hasbro Pulse. Very impressive vehicle. Looks really cool. It's the original Ecto 1, not the different versions of them. All these Ghostbusters 3 3/4 inch, they come in backpacks, the proton packs, and they are articulated well for 3 3/4. So if you're looking to do that purchase, you might want to do it on Sunday. Or Saturday. You might want to be early for that, because I got a feeling those 4, because they've never been in the O-ring format, they are probably going to sell out. But again, you've got Tuesday, they had a fan stream, Yojo June, the first week starting off, and they had people all happy. And then they pissed off people by the middle week, saying chances are there's not going to be a HasLab reveal this month. It's probably going to be pushed out for the Yojo G.I. Joe HasLab till San Diego Comic-Con. And then he told people Friday they're going to have a fan stream to show us the last month of the Star Wars whatever vintage series situation this is supposed to be. A lot of people say it's a cantina. We'll wait and see. And then Saturday they're dropping Ghostbusters, and of course Sunday we're at RoboToyFest. So it is a hell of a toy week that we've really gone through. We've got some videos that Chet and I did. We did a what he likes to call a repop of the Yojo June event. That's up on the site, so you can see me and Chet from Toybox Chronicles go over all the breakdowns there. I know that it's hectic because there's so many stuff coming from it. Hasbro's had a hell of a week. Fresh Monkey Fixin' dropped some stuff. There's a bunch of stuff this week. This will say for the first week of June, there's a lot of stuff in June, man.
Is the Ghostbusters a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, or is that all retailers? Do you know?
No, but that one's not all retailers, but all fan toy retailers. So that means
toy.
Our company, Entertainment Earth, our affiliate, is right there in the mix, and it's still up on there.
Amazon, fan channel. And
the best part about that is that we've got one of the better codes of Entertainment Earth, and it's at a price point that if you use that, you're probably going to actually a heck of a savings on that. But yeah, it's on Big Bad
down
Toy
below
Store.
10% over $79. You get free shipping. Entertainment Earth.
Yeah. And look, and myself being a big Marvel Legends fan,
yes.
What recently was announced today, fan channel exclusive, Entertainment Earth, is the Son of Hulk Scar figure.
I saw that.
I have not seen one of those since the early Toy Biz line.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a cool character. And if you look at the back of the box, the artwork, man.
And it's a big character too, brother.
It's big. It's a beast of a character. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Son of Hulk is not going to be some small dude.
well, in the Star Wars universe, you never know. It might be they may reinvent Son of Hulk in Star Wars as a baby.
But that's what I said. It's a hell of a week. I haven't seen this, especially
that's a show,
especially from Hasbro. So many drops. Like this is a week that they potentially have 4 drops this entire week. Like wow, like that's like they're really cramming June in. I don't know if there's something wrong in that first quarter and they're trying to pick up for the second quarter, but there's a lot of stuff dropping from
Hasbro. They fired all those people, so maybe that was part of the problem.
Well, the interesting thing in the world of toys is that with all of this criticism on Star Wars, tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific time, the Star Wars HasLab is announced, and it could either be a recovery or just a continued decline and bashing of the Star Wars universe. So,
what do you think? I'm guessing it's not a recovery.
If it's that cantina, and I was talking to Chet about this, if it's that cantina, whoa boy.
No, even if it's a cantina or an Ewok village, neither of those things are that great of a thing. So
I think if it's an Ewok village and then you get an AT-AT that you could just stomp and you squish them, then I'm all for it. Just a bunch of, I'm telling you, I said this in Toybox Chronicles when I jumped in the chat yesterday. They need to do the Destruction of the Jedi Temple set, and you get an Anakin figure and a bunch of body parts.
Well, here's the thing
pay for that, my friend.
If they're doing a cantina, there better be a character with one arm, and Obi-Wan Kenobi there. You got to do it right, But no, I don't know, man. I think that the funny thing about it is I'm sure on Sunday when we're at the show, we're gonna hear all the reactions with those Star Wars people to find out what that item's dropping.
What if they release the Death Star and they surprise everyone?
I'll be shocked.
Boom! They're like $1,000 Death Star, and people would be holy shit.
That was worth it. That was
Yes.
worth all the bad
Yes.
press and everything.
Yeah.
We'll
Something
see.
tells me that's not going to happen.
That's not gonna
No.
happen.
No. I heard it's going to be the Acolyte HasLab, and it's going to be the
Oh no, yeah,
the
that's the case.
fire outside in space playset with the escape, the character that can program robots, who should be one of the most powerful characters in the galaxy. If you could tap into all of the droids, I mean, if you could,
Yeah. Do you
I mean,
think?
who is that? I need to get his figure. It's Darth Vader and this guy who can tap into every droid.
Yeah, it's R2D2 without having to plug in.
Yeah,
So you know,
It's amazing.
every problem is solved with a computer.
Yep. Okay. Well, our last topic of the evening, and that is ink. Okay, so we've talked about in previous episodes the big event in the Marvel Blood Hunt. So if you haven't had an opportunity, go check previous episodes on that. The big mini series scale event for Marvel. But you know, comics again, we've reiterated it has been in a steady decline, but Skybound, you know, as we think about GI Joe and the continued popularity and figures and movies and now comic books, Mr. Storm being a GI Joe advocate and collector. What are your thoughts? Is Skybound doing something that the rest of the industry can potentially replicate?
I can tell you, I don't know what Robert Kirkman's put over the water with Skybound, but like he has a formula. He knows what he's doing. This is something that maybe Marvel and DC and a bunch of other people might want to sit down with him, because he did a giant omnibus of the first 155 issues of the Marvel run of the Real American Hero. Within 6 minutes, it had $1 million. 6 minutes. And it's still open and it's still growing in numbers. But 6 million for $1 million. Marvel can't do that in 6 months with one title. So you might want to find out what he's doing, because Larry Hama's run over there is fantastic. A lot of people, I don't read any of the Energon universe, but a lot of my friends do. They love Duke. They thought Corporate Commander's great. Destro just said that sold out, and it hasn't even came out. It's already like, you know. So something that Robert Kirkman's tapped in, and I don't know if it's the nostalgia from like this 80s property, that and Transformers, but like IDW had this series, and well, we can, you know, they did. IDW wish they could do $1 million in 6 minutes, but yet, you know, Robert Kirkman's just done a phenomenal job, even to the point where if you were watching the Hasbro Pulse G.I. Joe Yo-Jo fan stream, they've been mentioning those books on the fan streams. Guys have been talking about, hey, I'm reading that series. They've showed images of it. Like, they never did that with any of the other series. Now, I don't know if this is because Robert Kirkman is the creator of Walking Dead and he has a hit series on Amazon, Invincible, but like Hasbro's fully embracing that. So it's impressive. It's good. I'm glad those series are doing well. That means the shops are doing well. That means that the industry has some eyes on it. But if you're Marvel and DC, IDW, Boom, Dark Horse, Volt, anybody else in the industry, you might want to actually start paying attention to what Robert Kirkman and the people over Skybound's doing, because they are lifting the overall eyes and knowledge to people in comics. Because $1 million is a lot of money in 6 minutes, man.
Yeah, no question. And there just needs to be someone who's got the secret sauce, man. Like figure that out and help fill the space.
Is it just straight up though, just delivering what people want? It's like, we're going to package all of the G.I. Joe comics in a really nice book.
Well, they've had it.
I want that.
They haven't had an omnibus this size, but they have had the trade paperbacks. And I know some of the stuff has gone out of print. And I know IDW and a couple other places brought it in. But for some strange reason, you know, it's all the overall eyes. I think that's why that whole thing with G.I. Joe Chris Helmsworth and Transformers, and they got the whole Energon kind of universe going in comics. It's just the right time. But like, wow, like if you're Hasbro, like you're like, what can't we do? Like what can't we do? You know, maybe we can't do Dungeons and Dragons, but everything else is hitting on all cylinders for us.
Well, look, that movie was not bad.
I'm talking about the card games and all.
But that's part of the thing. It's like putting everything out into the pop culture. And you know, it's like we got the movies, we got the games, we got all this. They got the games down. You know, they got plenty of that. And the movie I thought was actually pretty good. It didn't go that extra little bit that made it like amazing.
And then of course I didn't see Skybound doing the Dungeons Dragons comic, and if they probably had, like, look,
well,
if you're
if
you have a property out there and you want your property and you want to do a comic book on it, call Robert Kirkman up and just tell him like, hey man, I don't know what you're doing, brother, but like, you know, can you do this for my property? Because I'm sure if like Robert Kirkman did a Terminator book tomorrow, it'd be #1. So that's not by mistake. That is, he's got the right people around him, and he's actually, you know, because again, on the fan stream, Hasbro has never mentioned any of the comic book stuff before. And they are consecutively with every stream, whether it's Transformer or G.I. Joe, they're mentioning Robert Kirkman in their books, they're showing images of it. Like, that's the best promotion for your property that you could get. It's just like the 80s. They're replicating that again. Again, we had that segment, Do Better. Robert Kirkman is doing enough.
Yep. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. Again, please subscribe, like, follow the channel. Tons of amazing content. Not only this show, Toybox Chronicles, but if you haven't seen the other things from toy hunts to some of the really great episodes around bad travel, Planet of the Apes, Indiana Jones, but also wrestling content, and then some other really cool things available as well. Mr. Storm and Dr. Brantley host a series that goes in depth in a variety of different types of feature films and genres, from horror to the Indiana Jones franchise. There's so many cool things. So jump into the channel, plenty of content, and we appreciate you listening. Before we adjourn, we got to thank our sponsors. So first and foremost, as Mr. Storm had said, as an affiliate of Entertainment Earth, you can find all of your toys, collectibles, and pre-orders. Use the code down below and get not only free ship, but 10% off in-stock purchases. So really, a really great promo. If you're going to order something, why not do it using the link? And then Mr. Storm, as always, we support the mom and pops and local stores. So I pass it to you for one of our OG sponsors.
We do, like I said again, and I always love to do this segment because from day one, and I tell people how important day one is because they believe in you when no one else believes in you. Toys versus Games, Wilmington, California. Tony and his wife run an absolutely great mom and pops toy store. If you find yourself there, stop in. Not just about purchasing. He's a great guy to have a conversation with, very knowledgeable. It's a very warm environment. It's not the kind of stuff where you go to, you know, Walmart and Target, it's kind of hard to get a conversation going or something. That's the kind of place that if you're a lover of, like, you know, toys and the genre and want to look at old products along with brand new ones, that's the place to go. And if you don't go to, you know, if your computer's down and you can't go to Entertainment Earth, head to Toys versus Games. See Tony and the crew there. Tell them that the PixelsPlasticInk crew sent you. It's Shadow's preferred store.
Awesome. And a big weekend. So this Sunday, if anybody's in Southern California, there's a big toy event, the RoboToyFest, toys, collectibles, things, G.I. Joe, vintage toys. You know, it's not the San Diego Comic-Con, but, you know, it's a medium-sized convention, but it gives you an opportunity to meet and greet a variety of different vendors and guests. A lot of people that were featured in the animated series of, from Power Rangers to Joe to Transformers. So if you're a fan of pop culture and you got nothing better to do, it's at the Burbank Marriott, and come check us out, because we will be there walking around, doing some interviews, taking in all the scene. So stop on by if you're in the area, come see us. All of us will be here, including Mr. Chet Maddox. So excited to get some video and feature that on the channel. So more to come on that. Any last words, Mr. Storm or Dr. Brantley?
Yeah, I'll say, hey, thanks to everybody that's watching the content. We appreciate everyone's eyes on it, and it's just always humbling to see some of the great comments and everything put in, good or bad. It's always great to interact, and that's why I'm hoping on Sunday we can see some people that's from the site. It's always nice to interact with the people. Dr. Brantley, I'll turn it over to you.
See you guys Sunday, or if not, next Friday.
Sounds good. Adios, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening.